I want to show you how I would do a communication strategy for the Portuguese brand Bock. They've just come out with a campaign which is all about having drinks to make up with friends. It's an interesting one because usually you think about drinks and it's like bringing friends together, but this is actually saying, having a drink is actually the best way to patch up a relationship. They've kind of taken a new angle in on it, and my Portuguese isn't too good. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I was actually talking to the agency who did it. If I was to do a communication strategy, the difference is they've locked their creative idea and strategies. What happens is communication strategy happens afterwards. This is all about bringing people back together. That's kind of their rough idea. With a communication strategy, what you're doing is looking for environments where that idea can really come to life, or when you're bringing people together, back together with a drink. The start of the comm strategy might be me brainstorming media environments where people come back together. The first thing I was thinking about was old friends come back together for graduations, like 10 years apart. Or the other thing you'd be like, where do most people have fights with people they love and then they come back together with a drink? Or where do big rifts happen? Other ideas that are just coming to my mind straight away is soccer grudges between different countries. Then the other one is Christmas time. With Christmas, when you've got all the family around, that's usually a moment where people are kind of like having fights. Either a beer can bring you back together, like is that the beer that brings you back together with other people? The other thing I was thinking about was with a campaign like that, you might want to start with a big kind of moment. I wonder whether it'd be about finding really big arguments or rifts between celebrities in Portugal. Maybe it's between, they sponsor one of the soccer teams here. I'm going to say Benfica. I think it's Benfica. Is there a famous rift between a famous coach or a player? And then do you bring them back together for like an interview series or some way of them kind of coming together? That's how you're kind of extending the idea. Now, the second thing you want to do there is make sure it's surrounding the moments of the drink. Like the drink has to be bringing people together. Where I'd set that soccer rift, like if there was a rift that happened and then the coach and player, you'd be sitting them down in a bar, and maybe is that like a podcast series, bringing two people back together who used to be friends through this beer. And that's going to make interesting content beyond that. But then you're putting that drink in that kind of mindset, that category entry point. They're the first ideas that I'm getting out there. So I definitely think there's enough territory around the idea of like surround the moments when either friend rifts happen, or then the second one is surround the moments when those friendships come back together. What you would then be doing is working out, what does the media buy look like? What has the media agency actually bought? Now, when I saw it, there was TV ads, and then I've seen it in out of home. But this is where I'd be thinking about things like the sponsorship. The sponsorship of Benfica, if that's their team. I'm going to get in so much trouble from Portuguese people who are like, that's not the team. You would be looking, okay, how can we use that asset that we've already got and getting more people, use the Benfica asset, and then what programs have we already got in place? Can we attach this to that idea, this creative idea to that campaign? The other thing would be like, do they have digital buys where we could tell this story? I'd bring the media agency in. I've already tested, definitely got enough just off the top of my head of surrounding the moments. Now I'd be doing the audit with the media agency of like, what actual placements can we impact here? That's how you start to do a communication strategy. And then the thing that I always like to do with a communication strategy is always have it related to the comms framework. A communication strategy should come all the way through a communications framework. Comms framework would look like this for a beer brand. There's two real phases. Usually, people who are drinking beer right away, like they're in the moment, they're thinking about where they're buying a beer, or they're at the bar. That's when they're kind of what you'd call in-market buying moment. And then there's the out-of-market moment, which is the broader advertising when we're hitting them at all different times. Now, broader market of hitting them at all different times, that works for what we've just talked about, which is TV, sporting occasions, maybe famous celebrities, digital, all those other environments where someone doesn't have a beer or not thinking about buying a beer. But those in-market times is how do we bring that idea to life at a bar or then at a liquor store? What does that look like at the point of purchase? And I don't know what kind of discounting they do, but is there something around a discounting? Is there a certain day that it kind of comes to life? Is there something in shop that talks about the rift between, maybe it's two products that used to kind of sit together and now don't? I don't know, I'd need to brainstorm a little bit more, but I'd want to make sure that idea of friendship comes through that channel as well. That's the comms strategy. We're taking the creative ideas around the moments when friends get back together. We're ensuring that a beer is always in that occasion. And then we're ensuring that it goes through auditing all the media assets, making sure it makes sense all through there. And then finally, we're making sure that it makes sense when people are out of market and in market. What's it look like at bottle shop and when they're turning up, and making sure it goes all the way through the line.